right, so let's talk about, there was someone who asked me how to neaten the top of their pot after they've already trimmed the foot. I'm going to assume that this is because they've accidentally trimmed a line of demarcation where these lugs are right here, and that's why they feel like they need to flip it over, and then they have trouble with it flying off the wheel. And I am going to address how to flip it over when that happens, but I also beforehand want to just show how to avoid doing that altogether. So a lot of times I notice in the studio, students will trim and their tool, the point of their tool is sort of like in towards their pot. And this pot is a little on the dry side. I'm afraid it's gonna squeal, so I'm just gonna add some water. All right, so what you wanna do is, instead of tilting it in like this, do you see how that's developing a line that as I travel down the pot, it's probably going to be right where those lugs are, and then I'm gonna have to flip it over and trim the top. So let me show you how to avoid that. So let me get rid of that. Notice that in getting rid of that, my tool, this end of my tool is sort of tilting away from the pot. Okay, so it's basically tapering away, and as I travel down my piece, I'm touching less and less and less, and I come away. So this part right here isn't tilting in, but it's tilting away, and I'm lessening my pressure. Like here's where I push a lot because I have a lot of clay, but as I travel down, I'm tapering, tapering, tapering away my pressure, and then I wouldn't need to flip my pot over to secure it and then risk it flying off the wheel. Because the truth is, if you have something you need to trim at the top before everything starts, the best time to do that is before you start trimming the bottom, because it has so much clay down here, you can anchor it into place and it doesn't risk flying off the wheel. But let's go ahead. I'm gonna center this right side up and show you how I would neaten that up and secure it. Okay, so I've centered this right side up. I have not lugged it because that right there is the trick to this not flying off. Ideally, I would lug this right side up before I've trimmed a foot, but if I have already trimmed a foot, what I'm gonna do is multiple pieces of clay. So I've centered this, I'm gonna hold this in place. I'm going to use a smaller piece of clay in a coil shape. And whenever I use my clay to secure things, I'm just gonna do it here so you can see. I don't come all the way in on the lug. I sort of split it in half, because then actually you can kind of see that jumps in towards whatever it's touching. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that on all three sides, and then I'm gonna add additional clay. All right, that's nice and secured. I'm going to do another layer kind of up here. And you might wonder, like, well, why not just do one giant one that covers both areas? Well, if you do one giant one, it doesn't actually grab onto the base, like the foot, the part that's attached to the wheel head. And so I'm just gonna curve this